Toledo in the rearview mirror, now turning your attention to Akron. Thoughts to put to end Toledo week and now get ready for the Zips in this senior day finale?
Yeah, super tough night for us, obviously at Toledo. Coming off the bye, felt really good about how we handled the week. Got some recruiting in, guys got rest. Catch up, get ahead academically, a couple days off, and then, we went through really a normal week with maybe a day or so of an extra practice and, turned the ball over early, and it was a sudden change situation for them. They went down and scored, and then got really back-to-back sudden change situations, and we're up 14-0, after two series, and then 21 at the end of the first quarter, 35 at the half, and we just weren't able to sustain drives. We moved the ball some, but weren't able to score, and thought their offense and their quarterback, were phenomenal. His precision passing, we played some man early, and good coverage, but they made two really good plays, and played some zone and really picked us apart. And so it's a good team. They're a good football team. We certainly did not think that game was going to go the way that it did, and so it was a tough pill to swallow.
Dave Gerke, would you like to lead us off?
Coach, the last couple of games, your defense has given up a ton of points, ton of total yards. What do you do to turn that around? You guys obviously playing an Akron team that has had trouble scoring. And obviously you guys got a lot to play for these last 2 weeks.
Oh, we sure do. There's no question about that. We talked about that with, Coach Needham. Can't remember exactly the stat, but maybe prior to Western, we'd given up, I think, 18 total touchdowns. And then in the last, 2 games, I think given up 11. And so, obviously a huge difference right there. So Akron, in terms of defending those guys, it's another 2-quarterback week for us. They just played Miami, and 13, who I think was offensive player in the MAC versus Kent State when they came from behind 27-10 and beat them. He was offensive player of the week. Started the Miami game, looked like he went out for a little bit, and then 10 came in, who's played prior to him, and really two different styles. Both can throw it. 10, though, is really dynamic with his feet, whereas 13 is more of a pocket, pure passer. So we're going to have to get ready for both of those guys, on a short week. We're going to have to get pressure on the quarterback. There's no question either way on that. And that'll be our challenge. But yeah, we know that we can play good defense. We've played good defense for the vast majority of this season, and we really don't have a whole lot of time to think. In terms of last week. We've had to learn from it and flush it and move on. 6-day week, it's one day, but when you play an evening game, I think I got in bed about 1 o'clock, and so that was already a 5-day week. And so you just don't have time to lick wounds. You gotta move forward.
Thanks a lot.
Yep.
Other impressions of Akron as you get ready for them? I know you're just getting into prepping for them, but more on your thoughts about what you're up against in Akron.
Yes, I just talked a little bit, offensively, and then, defensively, they're really good. You look at their season and how they've played football. They lost their starting quarterback, pretty early on, and that guy coming into it was up for Player of the Year in the MAC. We just a huge amount of respect for him. These other quarterbacks are really good as well, but when you just look at it, in terms of the whole season, their defense is what has been just super consistent and all the way through. They play really hard, and when I say that, you know, I mean they're running to the football. They're assignment sound. They've had a little bit of a philosophical change. We played this defense last year. You know, in terms of scheme, you know, they're both in an even and an odd front, and they put pressure on you. And so, I mean, this is going to be again another tall task.
What does this game mean to you as far as sending the seniors
Yeah.
out of Brian Nearson the right way?
Yeah, I mean, you know, so we met the other night, and at that point, I think it was 13, you know, guaranteed days left. Yeah, it's pretty quiet, you know, just in a reflective way. You know, Mikey Haney and Brian Dooley did their senior shares prior to Toledo. You know, I met those guys and started recruiting them in 2017. They both played in games in 2018. So you want to talk, I mean, that's a long time ago. 18, 19, going through COVID of 20, 21, 22, and here we are in 23. And then you've got, you know, a London Craft who just transferred in, but, you know, it's his senior year. And, you know, whether guys have been here from their very, very, very beginning, you know, or not, really challenged, because they all want to play in the National Football League, and we want them to play in the National Football League too. Just think that it's so important for me to challenge them to, look, we're trying to make this 13 days and extend it for another 3 weeks with everything that we have, to play those 13 days, though, and live those 13 days as if they're your last ever playing football. And then, when that's done, put everything that you have into trying to continue that. Just caution guys to, you know, not say, hey, I'm going to be playing for a long time after this, and really not soak up, you know, every minute of what you have guaranteed. But it's a really good class. It's a big class. You know, they badly, you know, want to, you know, finish strong. And we do things to honor their families, and we do some neat traditions here, you know, before the game in the locker room. And yeah, well, I'm expecting this to be an emotional and a, you know, an awesome night.
Thank you.
Alex?
Coach, I mean, at this point of the year, I'm sure for the players, it's got to be tough to, you know, it's already a tough part of the year to, like, keep going through the grind, but especially knowing that the division race is over and all that, and there's only, like, bowl seasons to go for. Not to say that bowl season's bad or anything, but it's not the prize that you came into the season wanting for. Is it hard to, or how do you coach them through keeping the focus through this part of the year?
Yeah, I mean, we've won one championship here in 1987. We've never tailed off. So, you know, that certainly was a goal to win the MAC championship. I will never put that above being our best. I've talked to you guys about that before. And going after, you know, being your best. And, you know, we have lots of goals, and we still have a chance to make history, you know, as the 132nd team, to go to 3 straight bowl games, to win back-to-back bowl games. Those things have never happened before. And so, you know, if you're going to talk about having a 1-0 approach, you know, you better live it, right? Whether you're 10-0 or 0-10, and to go all the way throughout. And, you know, so there's some. I understand your question, right? I mean, are guys disappointed and sad and you know, all of those things? No question. But we also had a really good conversation just about what this program stands for, the people in it, the toughness, the never break, the never fold, being tough, unwavering. And that's who we are, that's who we've been, and that's who we're going to continue to be. And maybe this group, right, unlike the early years that I was here, hasn't gone through that. And maybe this group that, always recruited to all these bowl games and beating Power 5 teams, is experiencing what built us. And no one ever wants to go through that or a hard time. And then at the same time, you can't be what you're capable of being, I don't believe, without going through hard times. And so in the end, when you look back, you never want to go through it again. You know what I mean? You're glad it's over and all of those things. But as hard as this has been, it'll end up being good for us in some way, somehow, at some time.
Looking at quarterbacks really quickly, we've already seen games where you use like all three guys. Is the door going to be a little bit more open to see more Ike and Cameron in the last couple of games?
We're talking. We're talking about all of our personnel right now and how we want to attack Akron. So we haven't made any final decisions on that. But Ike played some of the Jacksonville State game, and then Cam played a play or two there. We had a package for him. And then again in the Western game when Austin was hurt, those two guys took all the reps that week. And then Ike got hurt. So we're having discussions about, we always do, on Monday, trying to figure all of those things out. But by noon or whatever time it is on Monday, we have not made any decisions.
And my last guy I just want to focus on because I've seen him play a lot more lately, Terry Lockett.
Yeah.
He's definitely played a lot more in the second half. I think this game he played the most he's played all season. What have you kind of seen from him to kind of emerge in the second half of the year?
Yeah, we are really excited about Terry. Has been an awesome maturation. He got here in January from Michigan State. And in my opinion, it took him a little bit just to figure out our culture and our program, not in a bad way. It wasn't fighting against it, but, we're like, let's go, and, right away. And, I think he was trying to figure it out. Spring ball, we've known that he's got talent. He was learning the system and could see that he could end up being a good player, but had a ways to go. And he's just continued to get better and better. And then throughout the season, like, he has practiced really well. And so we've played him in games, and we think that he's going to end up being a really good player. But so, yeah, you'll be seeing him these last couple weeks for sure.
Thank you.
Yep.
Blake?
Coach, I know you said it's a very tough loss against Toledo. Not how you guys expected it to go. Was there anything that you learned about your team in that Toledo game?
I think it's going to be really just our response after having gone through that. I can tell you at halftime, I just, again, it was 35-0 at half. And just, again, kind of talked about how we are not caving. I mean, and I said, that's not a suggestion or a recommendation. I mean, it's a requirement in Eastern Michigan football program, that you play your heart out all the way through. And that's hard, when you've had a 10-day build-up and, you get punched in the mouth and the game is score-wise, essentially out of hand. It wasn't a perfect second half by any means, but I think that the message was crystal clear, and I'm confident in our response.
And then a guy I want to ask you about is Elijah Jackson Anderson. He scored his first touchdown for you guys
Yeah.
this past week from that pass from Sampson. What if, I know he's, spent some time on the special teams, but what have you seen from him this year, and what do you, hope to see moving forward with him in the future?
Yeah, we love everything about Elijah Jackson Anderson. If you've noticed, you mentioned special teams. I mean, he had an unbelievable play on kickoff. He's so fast. He's twitchy. He's explosive. He wants to be coached. He wants to learn. He's got a great attitude. His ceiling is super high. And, I mean, you probably didn't notice this, but if you go back and look on his touchdown, he's done this before in practice. So he basically did a flip and stood up without using his arms. He's done that before. We just were like, who is this person? He's an amazing athlete.
And then, I know you talked about, just the response, but on the field, from offense to defense to special teams, what do you want to see from your team within these next 2 weeks closing out the season?
Yeah, just, to capture it all, I want to see all three phases working together, playing confidently, playing super hard, executing the game plan, playing for each other, playing Eastern Michigan football. That's what we say. That's what it is. Guys playing for each other, playing really, really hard, playing with confidence, and obviously you've got to execute. And you're always going against a team in the MAC that's doing the same darn thing. You know what I mean? And so it's always a battle. But that's just that feeling, that the confidence and playing for each other and playing super hard.